So good morning guys, you joined me on a Sunday, and why am I out working on a Sunday? Well, today I'm actually going to be doing some basic maintenance on my own van because I'm covering quite a lot of miles each week, so I want to be doing the oil changes more frequently than it's actually needed. So the last oil change that got done in this van, it's only had Ford service history. The last oil change that got done was around about 7,000 miles ago, so a lot of people say that's too early, but I'm doing a lot of miles on the thing each week, and I just want to make sure that we aren't going to cause any sort of damage to that wet belt, even though they can go at any time. I'm prepared for that. That is what it is. I want to do the actual maintenance to the van properly, so it's going to get serviced very regularly rather than leaving it too late. I think Ford say 25,000 miles service or something like that, something ridiculous like that. And then it goes up to like 52,000 miles or something, I'm not too sure. But we've done the fuel filter on this not so long ago, so the filters that we're going to be covering today is oil filter, air filter, obviously the engine oil, the cab pollen filter got done by Ford about maybe 6,500 miles ago, so we aren't going to be changing that. So let's get cracking on. We're going to drain the oil, and we're also going to see what the condition of the oil is like. So here's all the parts that we've got. We've got the Ford genuine oil filter, got the genuine air filter as well, and all genuine oils. So there's currently 9 litres there now. Pretty sure this van holds around about 8 point something odd litres. So I've just picked up the 9 because it's a Sunday, nowhere else is going to be open. As you can see, I'm doing this in an industrial estate, so we're going to get the oil drained, but I've came a bit unprepared. Obviously I don't do oil changes, and my oil drain bucket for my personal sort of vans and cars is in storage, and I'm not going all the way back to get it, so I'm just going to make do with this old AdBlue container. I had to fill up the van with AdBlue anyway. Actually not too bad. People complain about the price of AdBlue, but I think 20 litres of this gets you about 6,000 miles, maybe not, not too sure. I'm sure that's what it says on the screen inside, but I don't really fill up AdBlue that often, and for the price of it, I think it's like 20-30 quid maybe, if I can remember right, but it's actually not too bad. But I'm going to stop rambling on. We're going to get the oil drained, get it into that bucket, get the oil filter off, and we'll then refill it. And what I'm also going to do as well, when I am putting the old oil back into these containers once they're empty, I'm going to put a little filter on it just to see if there's any sort of contaminants in the oil or pieces of the wet belt. So I'm going to crack off the sump plug first, and I'm pretty sure we've got a new sump plug inside that bag, because it does say that we've paid for it. So I'm just going to use my bit of a homemade bucket here and just screw that lovely black oil out of there. So that is that lovely engine oil draining. A couple of minutes, let all the old oil get out, then we're going to take the filter off, stick the new filter back in, and hopefully I'm going to find this sump plug, because I did buy one, but it doesn't seem to be in that bag, but I'll have a wee look for it. But yeah, I'll catch you once that sump plug's back in, and we're going to be taking the oil filter off. Right, so I don't know where the new sump plug is. I don't know if it's fell out that bag and it's rolled away somewhere in the back of my van, but I definitely picked one up because it is on the invoice. But I'm just going to use the old one now, and if it leaks I'll need to obviously replace it once Ford are open. But what I'm going to do after the oil service is done is I'm actually going to put the inspection camera. I'm going to remove this filler neck here, put the inspection camera down. Now my inspection camera isn't the best, so you might not see a lot in there, but I think it's worthwhile just doing a wee inspection on that wet belt. It is not scheduled to get done, which is a good thing, but that really doesn't account for anything on these vans. They can go at any point. But as far as this van goes, this van's driven like a dream. It's an amazing van to drive. It's like driving a car. It's got electronic power steering, You know, it's got everything inside. It's an amazing van to drive compared to the Peugeot Partner. Obviously I've still got the Peugeot Partner for when this breaks down, because it will break down at some point, whether it's going to be the wet belt or something else. But most of the things I can fix on it anyway. I'm not going to be doing the wet belt. That's just something I'm not going to be taking on, especially being mobile. If I had like a unit, fair enough, but if the wet belt goes, it'll be going to afford to get that done. So drop a comment and let me know what you guys think of these vans. Obviously they get a lot of stick for the engines, obviously the pickup getting blocked with belt material. It is a stupid idea, I don't agree with it, but you know, there's a good amount of these vans that are running still with the original wet belt way over the scheduled sort of service to get them done. Obviously that's not going to happen with mine. I'll get it done when it needs done, or if it needs done. But I quite like these vans. But then again, I'm not doing much or any of the mechanical work on them. I'm not doing the wet belts on them. Most of the stuff that I'm doing on these vans is electrical, so you know, that's right up my street. But as far as working on these vans, the space inside the engine bay is amazing. When you compare it to a Vauxhall Vivaro or a Renault Traffic, there's just no space in those engines to actually do any work on them. I hate working on those vans. They're my most hated van to work on. I just don't like them. But as for the Transits, I've got to admit I do like the Transits. So we've just got a slight drip from that oil now. So what I'm going to do is put the sump plug back in, get the oil filter off, put the new oil filter on, and we'll get it topped up with fresh fluids. I'm just going to unscrew it all the way, let it drain out. Try and not make much mess or drop the filter in the bucket. That'll be my luck. So that is the old, not very old, but old filter out. I'll give the old O-ring a little bit of engine oil, sorry, the new O-ring. And just screw in the new filter, hand tight, doesn't need to be too tight, just like that. That's the new filter in. All we need to do is fill it up with fresh fluid. So that's the dipstick reading to the just under max. So I'm going to go and start it up, and that will obviously take away a bit of the oil once it fills up the oil filter. So I'll just start this up now, let it run for a bit, switch it off, recheck the oil, and then it will need topped up a wee bit more. So I've just filled up the required amount. I'm just going to recheck the dipstick. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, probably not, but we are just below the max, which is where we want to be, so happy days. We'll move on to the air filter, get all this engine oil drained into these buckets, and we'll get all our stuff packed away so we can wrap this up. So I've just removed the air filter box because I'm going to be doing the air filter. Not that you need to remove the full box, but I'm just going to do a quick inspection on the actual belt. Now this inspection camera is pretty crap, to be honest with you, but it's what I've got with me. So I mean, you can see the actual belt itself looks pretty decent. I mean, I'm not really sure how you would tell. It doesn't look as if there's any cracks in it. If I can kind of zoom in a wee bit there, you can see the actual surface of the belt is nice, and there's a nice surface on it. It's not as if it's got like cracks all the way along the belt. So I mean, I would probably say that belt is pretty good. But I mean, without a proper inspection, it's kind of hard to tell. But you can see that the belt looks in decent nick. There's no cracks or anything on it. The air filter, surprisingly, was quite bad. I mean, this air filter isn't even that old. I don't know what the date, there's no date on it, but you can see it's a genuine filter. But it does look a wee bit minging. So we've got a fresh one right there for Ford that we're going to get fitted back in. But that was just to show you the actual wet belt itself, didn't it? It didn't look terrible. But like I said, this inspection camera is pretty rubbish anyway, so you're not really going to see a hell of a lot. But just for what I can see on the surface, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. So, like I says, if the belt does snap, it's either going to be a top end rebuild or an engine. I think you can get an engine for one of these, obviously a brand new engine without any of the stuff on it for maybe £2,000–3,000, but still you don't really want to be thinking of that. But hopefully, if anything was to happen, you know, you'd just be getting a top end rebuild, which I would end up doing. I don't mind paying for the belt, but if it's going to be, you know, a few grand to get a top end rebuild or whatever, then I would be doing that myself, obviously. But I have still got to be Peugeot partner, so anything that happens to this van, the Peugeot partner will be getting used. Right, so I've rebuilt everything back up to the way it is. It's all back together. Engine oil's in it. It's all filled up to the correct amount. Now what I ended up doing was running the old engine oil through that funnel and then through this wire mesh. Now this mesh is actually body panel repair mesh, but it's good because it's nice and thin, so you know it can capture any sort of loose debris that shouldn't be in the oil. Everything that you're looking at on there that you can see is just engine oil. There's no parts of the wet belt or nothing on it, so that's pretty good. Not to say that there isn't any wet belt caught in the strainer. I wouldn't know until obviously taking the sump off, but I'm not going to be doing that. If in the future it does need a wet belt, I'll just get it done. I plan on keeping this van for quite a long time anyway, so I am not really fussed if I need to do the wet belt, to be honest. It is an expensive job to get done. I think it's like 1,500 quid from Ford, or maybe just a wee bit less, but the fact that if I get it done before, it will come with obviously that sort of guarantee that it's been done by them. But yeah, this video, like I says, was just a quick service on the van. Something a wee bit different on the channel. No diagnostics. Like I said, it's something different for the channel. It's obviously just an oil and filter change, basic maintenance, but you never really see my van getting anything done to it, to be honest. But I do keep it regularly maintained. Obviously it's a transit, you need to. But yeah, I think we're going to leave that one here, guys. If you can, remember, click that subscribe button, get the channel up, and hopefully we've got more diagnostic videos that I'll be able to record next week on the way. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.